Well, once upon a time, there was an ugly duckling. And, well, you know how the rest of the story goes. And in this one, our ugly duckling is actually the Vauxhall Mokka. It was hideous, it was bland, it was an awful driving experience. But the good news is, it's matured into a beautiful swan. Well, okay, it's still a Mokka, but this time it's electrified and it is beautiful and quite possibly now the best in town. Now, before we carry on with our story, please do subscribe to our channel. It really does make a massive difference and it really doesn't take that much effort. Just go and get that finger and click. There we are, done. Subscribed, welcome. So this new Mokka, it really has gone from the sort of car you'd park around the corner to something you would be proud to say is yours. And the big news, as far as we're concerned, is that it's electric. So just like the smaller Corsa, it comes in 3 different powertrains and you can literally just tick the box when ordering the car. So petrol, diesel or electric. You obviously know which one I would recommend. If you do go for the electric, you'll get a 50 kilowatt hour battery and a motor which produces around 134 brake horsepower. Now that's actually more powerful than the petrol or diesel versions and is sort of about the same as you'd expect from something like a 1.6 litre engine. Now, the Vauxhall Mokka-e has the same battery and motor setup as quite a lot of other cars, including the Vauxhall Corsa-e, the Peugeot 208, the Peugeot 2008, and even the Vivaro van. Now, when we come to range, I think this is going to put a smile on your face because it is a number that starts with 2. Yes, it is just above the 200-mile threshold with 201 miles of range to be precise, which is brilliant. Just bear in mind, though, of course, in the real world, that number will be a bit lower, particularly in the colder winter months. Now, in terms of charging, it's going to take about 7.5 hours to charge from a home wall box. So far, the numbers are adding up. It looks good, but what is it like to drive? Let's find out. So first impressions when you get inside the car is it's really quite impressive. I do like the styling. You can probably see the different textures on the door. There's a nice little faux carbon fibre addition here, which I like. It's all across the front dash as well. Instead of traditional dials, you now get what Vauxhall calls the pure panel display. That's a couple of digital screens joined together to make one big display. And it comes in either a 7 and 10 inch or a 10 and 12 inch like this one, depending on which model you choose. This part is a touchscreen and shows all the electric car info. One very important part of that info is this, the drive modes. The Mokka has 3, and unlike some other electric cars, these really do make a difference to the way the car drives. When you switch the car on, it's automatically in normal mode, which is actually what I'm driving in at the moment. And that means you have average amount of power. It's kind of like the equivalent of a 1.4 litre petrol engine and gives you a sort of average amount of range, fine for everyday driving. Now, if you're only going a few miles and you can charge at the end of your journey, no worries. Treat yourself and select Sport mode. Now that unlocks the full 136 horsepower performance. The only problem is you can probably only get about 150 miles between charges for that, but it makes a massive difference to your drive. Now, if you really want to make the most out of every watt, then you can select Eco mode, and then you can officially stretch to 280 miles without needing to charge, which is pretty incredible. I mean, you could probably go from Yorkshire to Heathrow on that. Not bad, but worth noting, it does rob a bit of the power. So it actually only gives you 81 horsepower. Bit more like driving a 1 litre engine, not much fun, but then again, neither is sitting around waiting for a car to charge. So it might be worth it if you're going on a long distance journey. I haven't got far to go, so I'm going to put it back into normal. Bear in mind that electric cars will always lose a bit of range in winter. The Mokka uses a more efficient type of heater, so the effect isn't quite as bad as on other EVs, but it is still something you'll need to bear in mind in your planning. If you so find yourself waiting for charge, you'll be pleased to hear that the Mokka-e will take up to 100 kilowatts from a public DC charger, which is fast for a car of this size. In fact, some cars like the Nissan Leaf can only accept half that, which means the Mokka can get to 80% full from empty in just half an hour. And while you're waiting, you'll find the seats feel rather comfy, there's a decent vision to watch the world go by, and everything feels pretty good quality. There's plenty of kit too, like wireless charging for your phone, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. And as you'd expect, it has the usual app for route planning, checking on the car and emergency calls. Now, the other thing I really like is the headlights. I'm not talking about just how they superficially look. They do look good, but they are also very functional. They're called IntelliLux LED matrix lights. And what that means is they actually stop dazzling the other cars on the road. So if you're driving at night, you've got low levels of light and you have these blasting away, you're not going to dazzle all the other drivers on the road, which I think is brilliant, and it means you don't have to keep switching on and off your full beams. So this is big thumbs up. Now, the boot is big enough. It's not massive, but it's definitely going to do the job. It's a bit bigger than something like the Renault Zoe or the Corsa, and I quite like it because it's got this hidden floor underneath, which is brilliant for storing all your cables. The space in the back here isn't too bad either, but you'll get more room in a Leaf or Volkswagen ID3, which are about the same price as this Mokka, which is perhaps its biggest issue. The cheapest electric Mokka is just under £31,000, or about £365 a month on finance. This first edition is nearer £35,000, or £400 a month. Now that's a lot, but it's a Vauxhall, so there will be deals to be done before long. So what do we think? Well, obviously it is a lot better than the old car, but then so was getting the bus. But seriously though, I do think it looks great. It drives really well. It's packed full of technology, so it is a thumbs up from me. The fact that these kind of mini SUVs are very much on trend and fashionable right now is great because you do get more space than a small hatchback, although I was a little bit disappointed in the space that you get in the back. If we compare it to the competition, you've got something like the Citroën EC4, which is very, very similar. It's got the same bits underneath, the same battery and motor, although it's a bit less SUV-like. Then you've got the Mazda MX-30, which, well, is cheaper. It's about £5,000 cheaper than the Mokka-e. However, it does have less range. We're talking 124 miles, so you're going to drop to sub 100 miles in the real world. So would I own one? Well, safe to say I do think the Mokka-e is my cup of tea. Oh, should that be coffee? You didn't think we'd go a whole video without making a coffee joke about the Mokka? Anyway, do check out our reviews of the Citroën EC4 and the Mazda MX-30. Thank you so much for watching. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's just one click away.